Let's talk about retirement homes, right? Probably the place that none of us want to be, but probably will be at one time. Hopefully my kids love me enough to keep me around.
Yeah.
According in this article that you have on the screen here, a 91-year-old woman froze to death at a retirement home. And the topic is this a sign of neglectful care, right? Now, I've had some experiences in old seniors' homes, retirement homes, obviously not being someone that lives there, but I've worked there in a contract when I was in IT. I've also had a neighbor that was a PSW that worked at a retirement home. And some of the stories I've heard is not good, right? And we'll talk about it in a second. What's your thought on this subject? Is when a 91-year-old dies at a retirement home and isn't found for hours later and found in the fetal position, frozen to death. She was there for several hours before anyone noticed, right?
Yeah, there's some negligence there. For that to happen, you would think that these facilities would have some security on site. So if security sees somebody leaving, they would keep a note to be like, okay, this person's been out there a while. Let me go out and check. So something was missed there, right? And unfortunately, we're not getting all the details where, we're seeing what they tell us, but
sure.
Something's
But
what's
your thought? What's your thoughts on like retirement homes, like from what you heard or your experience from it?
Well, I'll tell you this. My mother's in a retirement home because she has dementia. And, I went to school with some of the people who work there. And I will say that based on my personal experience and from what I've seen, it's been pretty good.
Okay.
Especially with her condition and how they treat her. I've seen what they got to deal with on a regular basis, and it's a challenge. I don't envy those people who work in these environments because, again, you would think as a lot of these seniors are kind, caring grandmothers or grandfathers, and, they're very caring and very respectful. But a lot of times they're very, very aggressive to these care workers for no reason whatsoever, right? Again, it could be so many different conditions that they're going through. And I've seen it firsthand where they're swearing, they're yelling, they're screaming. And imagine as an employee going into that environment every single day. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sure. It takes a toll on anybody. Everybody's human, right? So you go there to do your job. And if somebody's yelling and screaming at you every single day and you have a bad day to begin with, yeah, you might say something that you should not say, right? But the reality is they all have a job. And I feel like they try to give the best care that they can, but I feel like it's the lack of resources that some of these retirement homes have. I feel like a lot of them are understaffed, right? Yeah. And these are issues that, the government needs to really address because you can't have that much people who have so many needs and expect that you can only have 2 people, I feel, with that story were on duty at the time dealing with a bunch of seniors. That's totally unacceptable. Really? Because people, they follow their bed, they go roaming at night because, again, they have different sleep patterns. Right. Again, that's just completely unacceptable. I'm sorry.
So let me throw it this way. So in terms of my experience with the, the senior care, I think this is a sign of a systemic issue, right? I do think there are flaws to care that are given in these things. And you're right. I'm sure there are many seniors that are kind of misbehave and aggressive. But I also feel, and I'm not saying every, PSW worker or workers in these retirement homes are bad. I think most of them are good. But a lot of them are miserable in their jobs, right? Maybe because of the abuse they might get from other seniors. But I see I've heard a lot of cases from my old neighbor about, some of these workers are physically abusing the hitting the senior. They're, pinching them. They're swearing at them or, yelling at them because they're not listening to the instructions. They're not taking the meds or whatever the case is. Yeah. So I think really I would say this is a sign of neglectful care rather than it was a one-off, or maybe this particular case was one-off, but I think there is a systemic issue with.
There is,
care.
but again, how many bad apples are there out there? Or I guess you can apply that to any profession,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's
it's
true.
like there's bad apples as
police
cops.
and-
So the
legal.
reality is, again, it's just, I feel like it's a big issue that they need to address. I would say like it's similar to nursing. And what I mean by that is that if you see a lot of these employees being stressed out from dealing with these constant abuse some of these seniors may be providing, they should incorporate a bit more time off just to reset. Just like with nurses, they need more time off. Like you're overworking these people to the point where they lash out because again, they're dealing with a lot. Sure. Again, I know, you sign up for this job, but again, I don't think people realize what some of these employees have to go through. I've seen it firsthand. It's brutal sometimes. They're just screaming, they're yelling for no reason, and it's like, what can you do? Because again, you can't put your hands on them, and sometimes you're trying to talk to them, they don't listen. It's a very stressful job. I don't wish it on anybody, especially when they have like issues. It's like, especially with dementia or Alzheimer's, where you're telling people what to do, and 2 minutes later they ask you the same. Imagine being asked the same question 50 times in a row.
Right. And it's a good point, Curtin. And I think also stuff like we forget, they're giving full care. They're going to the washroom with them, right?
Yeah.
If they, and they're, making accidents in their pants, right? Yeah. And cleaning the bed and going to the washroom, giving them showers and stuff, right? So it's not a pretty job, right? And having to do that, plus probably is not the pay isn't that great, or possibly not great, and so I hear you.
But again, I guess you could look at it like this way too. It's like, if you have your parent in there, of course you're going to care for your parent because that is your parent.
Right.
To them, this is just another person.
Right.
So the expectation that they're going to treat your parent just like you would treat them.
Right. Of course. No, you're right. And again, like even doctors, for example, they after a while, and in any job, you're not looking as them as your as people. You're looking as them as like kind of like a subject, right? Like, when you're filing stuff, it's not like every single file is someone's life or someone's, life savings. It's just another file, right?
Yeah.
So, people become just another part of your job, right? It's not, you're not looking at individuals anymore.
Yeah. But, it's unfortunate because, again, there are a lot of stories out there that are not too good. And I don't see a lot of improvement. I really don't. They talk about, they're changing the laws to protect these seniors, but it's a lot of talk and not action, and, they need to.
Isn't that what governments are in general?
Yeah. But how do you follow up? How do you ensure these policies are being followed? Like, you know what I mean? So that's another topic for another day, really.